Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm your host, Jeff Howard, and I'm really happy to have filmmaker Arvid Eriksson with me. Hey, Arvid.
Hello.
And by the way, has to be mentioned, Arvid and I are on Zoom, so of course, if the audio quality doesn't please you, just blame the Zoom Corporation. But also, Arvid is in New Zealand.
I am in Auckland, New Zealand.
So no way we could talk in person. And by the way, it's I think it's 5 a.m. for you.
Yeah, almost 6:30 actually.
Almost, yeah, exactly. So it's 11:43 for me and 6:40 or 5:43 for Arvid. He's got a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So that is a very awkward introduction, but why not? And the reason Arvid is here is he's going to talk about his career and his film Acknowledgements, which I'm very proud to say at Film Invasion Los Angeles in 2021. It took home Best Short Film, Art House Experimental, and I personally love the heck out of this film. It's just a wonderful visual film set to a poem, and I always have, whenever I've talked to Arvid, I always joke that I can never pay attention to the poem because your visual just completely carry me away, and I feel like someday I'm gonna have to watch it and almost close my eyes and just listen to the words to really grasp it. And the other really happy thing is that some of you may know a TV series was born out of this podcast. It is also called Discover Indie Film, and it's on Amazon Prime Video. And Acknowledgements will be in season 6, which I believe is going to come out probably in September. We're recording this at the end of July, probably come out in August, but maybe late August, early September will be season 6 of Discover Indie Film on Prime Video. So just go to Prime Video, search for Discover Indie Film. Make sure you pay close attention to season 6 where you can see Acknowledgements. Don't have an episode lineup yet, but Acknowledgements is such a fun film too. I tend to put the fun ones up early, so look for it early in the season.
I'm chuffed to be part of this. It's very exciting. The film has obviously done the festival rounds and not been available for people to see anywhere. So this is great for all my friends around the world and locally here to be able to go somewhere and see it, and alongside it see some other cool films. I'm really looking forward to see what you got in your new season. Yeah,
it's a fun season, and there's some there's some far out stuff. Let me just say that, but all good and all entertaining.
It's good indie, all in the good name of indie. It's great.
Yeah, indie film. Please. Okay, so I already warned Arvid. I'm just going to let it go and say, you're a very talented filmmaker, and I know you work a lot and have your own company in New Zealand. So how did you get started? What were your early inspirations for this mixed medium, as we called it?
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I'm chuffed to be here talking to you. It's an honor. Always great fun. How did it all start? Yeah, it is a mixed medium for sure. It's a collage. And I think I've always been, or I'm discovering that I think the whole idea of mixing things have always been something that I've been drawn to. For better or for worse. Sometimes I can feel that I don't have a singular drive or a singular direction or whatever, and I get frustrated with myself that I want to do that and I want to do that, and I'm a bit all over the shop sometimes. I feel I might not be. It might just be that I feel that way. But I think the common denominator is the idea of a collage and meeting different people and being a different person yourself in different roles, right? So film is just great like that, and actually it all started with quite a pragmatic reasoning with myself. I was like 21, and I had been doing a lot of different things. I was playing in a band, I was writing lyrics and writing my own songs. I picked up photography. My brother taught me to develop my own films, and I was shooting black and white, and I had a little camera with a nice 50 millimeter lens, and and I loved that. And I was a radio DJ, and I was DJing at clubs, mixing music, and writing little short stories. And I thought to myself, what is this? What do I want to do? Now is the time in my life to kind of think big and do something brave. And I thought film actually is perfect because it's all these bits. It's storytelling, it's visuals, it's rhythm, it's entrepreneurship, it's storytelling, visual storytelling. So at this stage, I had not, I was not a film buff, and nor were my parents or anyone around me. Sure, I'd gone to the cinema and I watched films on VHSs like anyone else, but it wasn't like a big passion of mine. So in that sense, it was quite a constructed decision or an insight. But I went whole hog. I applied to a university in London because I'm from Sweden, and Sweden had just joined EU. And I thought, I'm going to go big time. So I applied and got in and went to London to study film. And that's, around there somewhere, it was really when I just totally fell in love with this medium. Obsessed, right? It's just perfect for me. I love every aspect of it from the bottom of my heart. Like I said, the people, the technology, the storytelling, the visuals, and I can just get swept away in every bit of it. So I went to London, studied film ended up being 4 years. The plan was to go back to Sweden. It was a little project, but I met this woman from New Zealand, who also was in London, and here I am today in New Zealand with her. She's making coffee upstairs right now. So that's how it goes. And between then and now, I started working in broadcasting as a promo producer, doing like little trailers for films, which is a great job because you get to watch films all day, or TV series, and dissect the storylines and the visuals and how they put the story together, and then take little snippets and put a trailer together. So I did that for a few years. That was great fun. And then I started doing my own music videos, my short films, and that kind of got me into commercials more. So the last few years here in New Zealand, I've been making ads and little short films for more corporate clients and so on, which is great fun because they're little mini projects from beginning to an end, right? Like you conceptualize and you come up with you create a story, a visual story that'll look good, and then you get to make it with people who help you out, and people give you money to do this, which is very lush. No, it's not that lush. You get paid for what you do. But
I'll jump in that there are hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands of creative people who would love to get paid to. I have met many people like, how do you think I can get into directing commercials? And the answer is, I don't know, start 10 years ago. Yeah.
It's true. It is. It hasn't been easy to. You're right. Actually, I should acknowledge that. Is that a pun? But you're right. Actually, and in that sense, it is. I'm feeling quite blessed that I'm able to pay my rent with something I love doing. Not saying that it's not hard at times and tricky, but what job isn't, in that sense, I'm very lucky to be able to practice my craft. And if I were to attempt to answer the question, how do you begin? I guess you start as a runner or something, like you try to get yourself in somewhere where it's and it's all about networks. I think it's all about who you know.
Absolutely. Well, I want to jump back to university because so you were growing up born and raised in Sweden, yes, and a generally creative person, obviously music, photography, just generally expressive and creative, it sounds like. And you were probably writing as well.
Yeah.
And was it at university in London that you first experiment with film at all, or were there some video camera type projects when in high school or the equivalent?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that's true. Like a few years before I moved to London, I did like a 1 year add-on year. It's like to kind of like your high school, kind of like an extra year where it was media and communication, and that was really like a springboard to what I ended up doing in London, because that was quite a hands-on type foundation course, you could call it, and you got to try a little bit of everything. And they had a film or TV studio there, and there was video cameras and so on. But it was quite. No, but you're right. That's probably the first time I started to actually put sequences of video images together, and we also went to, analyze films. We went to the cinema, with the tutor in the class, and then the next day we kind of spoke about the film and broke it down, and that environment and those teachers there, they were probably the first ones that introduced me to more sort of complex, like art house, not your average mainstream Hollywood production, but more like weird European things, if you'd like, and. And that was great, and I fell in love with it, and so that was probably what brought me to London in some ways. Yeah,
sure. And the experience of watching films and discussing them in a academic setting, I think, is huge, because it really, I assume then that changed the way you looked at things when you would watch TV or cinema.
Totally. Absolutely, and this is what's so fascinating about the medium, right? Like you said yourself, it's a collage, and it's a multi-praxis type task, and I think it's, in that sense, it's just endlessly fascinating. You can just go deep and slice the cake in any shape or way, and there will always be. You can always go deeper from a technical perspective, of course, but what's most interesting, I think, is the writing of it, and the ideas and the worlds and the character destinies you can portray with this medium. It's just nuts what you can get across. And you can get things across that you can't put in words, which is just so fascinating. I mean, of course, you have to have a script and you have to write things down in words as a part of the process, because you need to get everyone on board on the same idea, and the actors need to know what they're going to do and say. But wouldn't you agree that beyond that, there's a cognitive layer or meaning that's just beyond the written word and beyond what's being said in films, right? And that's where the core of the experience is somehow. You can watch a film and almost don't know why you like it so much, or what it's doing to you, but it's just like so deeply moving or fascinating. And it's not just the actions and what's being said, what's being written. It's just, and I guess it's all those different things that just come together to create this magic experience. Yeah. And as discourse in the world, as a form of communication between, cross cultures and between people with sometimes different opinions and so on. I think it's just such a fantastic glue, or such an amazing way to express yourself, to maybe get someone else to understand where you're coming from a little bit better, and music is the same. Music is like a uniting force. Film is like that, but with a different depth to it, possibly.
Yeah, you just filled me with so many thoughts, but I think the top two I have to share. The first one would be, obviously, as a musician too, and someone interested in music, there is that moment where I think as a young person we're raised on television and film, and And then somewhere along the way, you realize how music is used in that medium and completely blows the mind. And all of a sudden, like, without trying to get myself in too much trouble with people, like I'll try to watch if the score of something is pushing me too hard in an emotional direction that's not natural for me. Like I notice, but like I would, so I listening to you, I wanted to share that insight that obviously as a musician, it must have blown your mind when you saw how music can be used, because most people don't even think about the music at first.
I know. One of the first films that I just fell in love with so badly was Jim Jarmusch, Down by Law. I don't know if you, and
with the John Lurie score.
Pardon?
I own the John Lurie score.
I know, John Lurie, Lounge Listens, right? And I just, exactly, that score in itself is just so it's just so good, like it's just so, it just paints the scenes. And that, like if you'd come across that as a score, as just a piece of music, and then close your eyes and just imagine these high contrast black and white images of these, southern state marshlands and what a feast, you're winning already there. Like that score is just incredible. And what is it? It's like it's not songs, with verse and chorus and bridges as such. It's just free jazz. It's just textures. It's just like painting with music. It's just like rooms you're stepping in and out of, and then just put images on top, and wow, And I love that. I love those kind of films that don't necessarily overfill you with plot or something, of course I love a good plot and films like that too, but I'm fascinated by the medium if you dial things down a little bit and what you can find as an experience. Like, what is it if you take some cool textural musics that just painting rooms and scenes, and you close your eyes and listen to that, okay, cool, it's music. And then if you just open your eyes and put some subtle imagery with it, what's that? Well, film. And it can be non-narrative film, but that's a cool experience. And then you can just sprinkle a little bit of plot on top, and then you're in a really cool space. That's almost like meditation or something. It's almost like opening your mind up to what is this, and like go on your own journey, and just sit with this scene for a while. I love those sort of films. That doesn't sort of keep you going with a plot like an action film. Mm.
For sure. And I'm assuming that this is what drew things like this drew you into the medium at the university level, and probably just diving into it further.
Yes.
And I can't help but share, although we're really supposed to talk about you, but we're going to talk about other films for a moment, because you mentioned Down by Law, and I love, isn't it wonderful when the music and the setting and imagery aren't congruous? So like, because that score you're talking about feels like you're in a basement club in Manhattan.
Yes.
But they're in this jail, basically, in the South, where, so it could have had, some hillbilly music would have been like what a Hollywood producer would have said, no, lay in some Bayou music. I want it to fit and instead hit it with something completely different. And of course, listening to you, I couldn't help but think like the ultimate example is 2001 with spaceships dancing to ballet.
Exactly.
Music.
Exactly. And that's what again, what's so fascinating about the medium and the collage quality of it. It's all about the juxtaposition, right? It's all about slamming things together, and you got A and you got B, and you put them together, and just by those two meeting, you create C. You create something different out of the contrast itself, like you say.
Something completely novel.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. And and then you can push these aspects as far as you want in different directions. And of course, some films have a stronger score than, rely more on a score, and it's more about the oral experience and so on. And other films are all about the clever dialogue and the words that sort of spun, and you have different genres and different sort of ways to go with it all, which is fascinating.
Did you because of your multi-dimensional history in a way of different art forms and things, so at university you were probably making shorts, you got to make some shorts during that time. Were you doing the music for it too and things?
At times, and I've been doing that since as well. Usually it's I love doing that, but sometimes it's a time thing, because it's such a when you make the film, it's such an intense time, because production is intense, and it's where you put how you use your own energy, which is not infinite. So I find that sometimes it works if I've made the music beforehand, or if I can do it later on in the post. But sometimes it's best to work with another musician to kind of direct them, to make it come together. But I've been thinking a lot about, because I've got a few projects I'm working on at the moment, and one in on it could be to start scoring, because I'm writing a feature film at the moment, and have been for a long time. It's like my big next step, which is really, really hard to get off the ground like they are, because it's a complex medium and you need a lot of people and money and whatnot. But one kind of creative I've been thinking is to start scoring certain scenes. Just me myself. It could be draft scores, like demos or whatever. But music and writing is an interesting thing, because I find if I'm stuck with a scene, music can really open it up. Like if I find a track, I take something from John Lurie or a Space Odyssey or whatever, and or Blade Runner. I love writing to Blade Runner soundtrack. It's just so multi-layered and dark and complex and like, what's going on? But that can really open things up.
I think what you're talking about in a way is how screenwriting is, of course, the first step of filmmaking, but because it sounds like for you, filmmaking is about world building. Building a world within this medium. And obviously, if you're stuck or if you just need a little better sense of the world you're creating, then you add in music early, and now you've built the world better in your mind.
That's right. Exactly. World and character. I mean, it's such a... And I don't have any answers. Like I'm just swimming in my own thing, as I think everyone is. I'm just like, it's like a wrestling match with yourself, right? But yes, like character and world. But you can't avoid plot. You need some sort of plot to move things forward. And in the past, I have. I've made a few shorts which has been, they've had a classical sense of a plot, which is fine. But I look at it and I feel a little bit let down by it. I feel a little bit disappointed somehow, and it's not as magic as I want it to be. And my latest thing, which relates to Acknowledgements, the short film that brought me here. What I set out with that film was I said to myself, I don't want the plot to let me down. I want to create something. I'd rather end up with a film where people don't understand what's going on, but it's magic, rather than ending up with a film that people understand what it is, but it's not magic. The magic needs to win over the understanding what's going on,
which is a wonderful
point
of view to talk about setting a high bar for yourself. That you're saying, I want to create a magical experience, even if people find it confusing. And of course, Lord knows how many filmmakers have shown their work to people and they go, no, clear it up. I was a little confused there. Why does that character do that? But you don't always have to justify everything. But I want to push you backwards a little in time. So you were making shorts, obviously, at university. And then when you got to New Zealand, and honestly, I identify with you. I have moved 3 or 4 times in my life solely for a woman. That's how our brains work. But some of us solely for a partner. But anyway, when you got there, was your focus on creating a career for yourself that you could rely upon, or the whole way along were you writing things and shooting the occasional personal project?
Good question, right? Really good question. I made a deal with myself that if I'm going to move to the other side of the world where I knew no one, I knew 2-3 people down here. Really good guys, mind you. So that's good. But I knew very few people. I didn't have much connections down here. So I figured, okay, if I'm going to move there, I'm going to, while I get set up and while I sort my life out, I'm going to, as a treat to myself, write my first feature film. So I did. I moved down here. This is 2008. And I set out to write my first feature film, and I did so within half a year or so. I had an idea with me from London, and I just did it while I was getting established and looking for work and whatnot. And then of course time is time is not infinite. Time is tricky. Time might be infinite. Anyway, I mean, the hours in the day are only so long. So I ended up getting more and more work and getting more and more established. And I had less time to write on my feature film, but I wrote a second draft. And then ever since then, basically, I've been working on this feature film project in different shapes or form, in different collaborations with different people. And in a way, there's a straight line between when I arrived in New Zealand and where I am now. I'm still trying to make that film. I've written numerous drafts. I've reconceptualized the core idea into different shapes and forms. I've done treatments, and I've spoken to producers, and been out there, and it's inching forward. And at the same time, I've started a family, and I've established myself in New Zealand, and I run my own little production company, and I'm surviving. So that's good. But it's two things that kind of are in conflict, and it all started when I came to New Zealand. So New Zealand, as a place for me as a creative, very much relates to that dichotomy of my self-expressive filmmaking and my money-making filmmaking. And I don't know, you tell me, but I assume that all filmmakers have the same, right? Because you gotta make a living, and you got your thing, whatever your thing is, and the thing is probably not so straight down the middle either. The thing is like constantly changing, and it's
I think all creatives, whether they're painters or musicians or filmmakers, I think that is the place that everyone finds themselves. And I actually think I believe Your Scorseses and your Soderberghs will even choose, of course, they're at a very luxurious level where I will make a studio film and then I'll make a couple smaller things. Then I'll do a studio film. But when they're doing a paycheck project.
Totally. Doesn't the Coen brothers have a saying? I think it's them, like one for them, one for me, or one for them, one for us.
I think it was. And I recall an interview with them in print in a magazine where they said, well, we have the interviewer was like, you have a lot of power. And they said, no, but we do have the power to say no. When we give a script to a studio and we want $60 million to make it, if they say no, we don't care because we can make a $2 million film and be happy. So they have the power of the freedom that they can work in both realms.
Yeah.
Which is hopefully something that you've created for yourself, right? That you have the power to, or you have the ability to wait until times are right for your feature.
Yeah.
Because Lord knows and my heart goes out to them, but a filmmaker who has that feature script they love and they want to make it and they're like, this will be the project that gets me a home. I'm like, oh, that's if those are your motivations, it's going to be so hard.
Yeah. There's something that I feel like I mean, what we're talking about now is just so fascinating, and it's a kind of a dialogue that or a subject matter that I have been trying to look for out there, other people talking about, basically your paycheck versus your creative endeavor. And the creative endeavor is really hard. It's hard to write. I find it hard to write. At times I love writing, but most of the time I find it really, really hard. But I've identified it as something I had to do to be me, and to I get depressed if I don't. So it's just the bag I need to carry, and sometimes I love the bag, but most times not. So that's that. And then, okay, so you got to earn your money, and you got to have a bit of money, be it 2 million, 60 million, or a lot less, to make your thing, right? And of course that relates, because you can earn the money here and take some of that and put it towards your own thing. Or you can go to film commissions or funders and or distributors and get funds that way. But the complexity of this game and how you find yourself as a creative voice, your own voice in all of this is an intricate game, right? And it's highly complicated. I have, in response to these thoughts, I have lately thought to myself, it's unfinished thought maybe, but I've been thinking that my secret power in some ways is that I can get stuff done, because I'm that kind of filmmaker. I've got friends who are very clever with words and sort of academic, intellectual filmmakers, if you'd like, in some ways, and they can create amazing scripts and so on. I'm not that kind of guy. I got other strengths, and in some ways, I think my secret power is to get things done. So I've been thinking that to move my stuff forward, I should try to just, in a real guerrilla kind of way, just try to get it done. Because I will learn so much about my writing and learn so much about my voice from doing it. So the most important thing is to get it done. Rather than doing redrafts and try to repitch it into this guy who might give you money. So lately I've been thinking, how can I make this idea for as little as possible? How can I rewrite this idea so I can shoot it myself with a couple of friends over a few weekends? Those sort of thoughts. Because I think at the moment, I don't have the profile to go to someone, a distributor or a funding body, and say, hey, I've made these 3 feature films. They've been really funny. People laugh when they see them, and therefore I've got something. I don't have that yet. So I need to get that going in the cheapest possible way.
And I am the audience you're aiming for, because I think in general, of course, there are bad examples, but I think in general, the film that people customize the way they build that world, that it can be pulled off with a group of friends, maybe one weekend a month, maybe 5 months. It takes 5 months, you take another month off, but that kind of film often comes out so special for so many reasons. Everyone's in it for the right reason. Also, you get to do some editing and some rewriting after an actual shoot weekend. Whereas instead of, if you cruise through, okay, we're doing a 5-week shoot, and you shoot your brains out for 5 weeks. And then when you're done, you're like, well, here's what I could have done better. Whereas, you're like, if you have 6 weekends planned, after the first weekend, you can start rewriting for your actors' voices.
Exactly. Super cool. And I think that just feels totally right for me right now. Because, like I said, I've learned so much. I mean, I've been making films my whole life, but I've never made something that's 90 or 120 minutes. So that's a learning curve for sure. And I think that's it just feels really good to think of it like that. Like, it feels really enabling and powerful. Like, I can write this script on this laptop. I've already done it. I just need to tweak it a bit. And I've got some friends I can call and then do a production schedule over a few days. That feels really possible and like thumbs up, good energy. Wow. And doable. And if I compare that to applying for grants or going into these workshop groups and talking to, bigger bodies with their own agendas, I'm like, I've been doing that for so long, and it's great. I'm not giving film commissions or anything like that a hard time. That's the backbone of the film industry. But I'm probably not there yet, potentially. So I just need to get my own thing going. And then once you've got something, I think you're in a different place, like, and I mean, not to say that I don't have anything. I've got a show reel with lots of cool stuff on, and I got my little short film here that you've seen, and that's great.
And
so
actually, I guess I did have that question. Were there films before Acknowledgements, post university?
Yeah, there was. Back in London, I made like 3-4 short films. Most of them sort of self-funded, like Acknowledgements. 1 or 2 got funds from the East London Film Board or whatever we're called, but that's a long time ago. But much to this conversation that we're having now, like you got to think about your profile and your own body of work from a strategic point of view too, right? To kind of build, accumulate momentum and build, hone your profile, build your profile.
Well, you have a very practical mind. As creative as you are, you have a practical side of your mind.
Well, yeah, and this is what I'm thinking that I do, and I always and that I need to use that, which I am trying to do. So, Acknowledgements was born out of like a strategic. It was born out of a sheer need to do something cool, something for me,
Right, you want to do something creatively, but it's also a bit of a calling card.
Exactly. That's it. I knew if I'm going to go on knocking on doors, I can't just come with my commercial work because it's just commercial. It's not my voice. It's not my writing. So I needed to kind of quickly, I felt, create something that could go alongside that. So that's where Acknowledgements started in terms of its strategic, the strategic aspect of the film. And I've got that. I sent it out in the world. It did really well. Well, I won something with you guys. Thank you very much. That's incredible. And it's been at a lot of other festivals, and it's got a bit of momentum. So the next thing is, like, I need to use this momentum to kind of, keep building. So I have a couple of projects. I've got sort of 3 scripts that I'm quite happy with. 2 of them are shorts. One of them is a feature. And now is the question, do I try to create this feature, which I've been working on and thinking about for so long, that I just feel I need to make it. I need that project to mature into something, even if it's at the cost of production value, even if it's at the cost of what it could have been. I cannot, what it could have been, hold me back from what it can be, if you know what I mean. Like, don't let best stand in the way of good or whatever.
Yeah, you're not letting the perfect stand in the way of the good.
Exactly.
I mean, I've only seen the one thing, but based upon what I see in Acknowledgements, I find it hard to believe that you wouldn't make something that at the cinema, as far as cinematography, really everything in the filmmaker's toolbox. I don't think you'll lower your standards too much, because I think you know how to. I mean, you knew how to make a 3.5 minute short look like cinema.
Great. Thank you. That's what I'm thinking too. I just need to, do that. So the question is, what do I do now? Do I now jump from Acknowledgements, which is, on the table? Do I jump from that straight to my feature film project? That feels really good. That makes me happy thinking about that. But maybe would it be clever to make another short film? I've got two ideas. Make another short film in between, which is like Acknowledgements, but possibly add in dialogue. Add in dialogue and add in a little bit of quirky. Make it a little bit more pointy comedy, or quirky offbeat comedy, but maybe. Yeah, but add that, because tonally, that's what my feature film would be. So between Acknowledgements and the short, that I could potentially be in a stronger, my profile would be in a better place to potentially get more help with the feature.
And also, I'm going to assume that it also would be good for your soul to make another film that shows you, yes, I know what I'm doing. I'm headed in the right direction. I can because it is funny. Acknowledgements just has voiceover and the sound of a bell, I think, is the. So, you haven't done dialogue, even though that film feels like a conversation.
Interesting.
But for you as a filmmaker, maybe you do want to make another short, just so you can say to yourself, this makes me feel even better about self-financing it over 6 weekends, over 4 months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Jeff. I'm workshopping this with you right now. This is great. That's what I'm going to do.
I often joke about my amateur therapist card for filmmaking. But I would understand you making the leap right away. And I completely understand you saying, I'm going to do one more step. First of all, you have the luxury of doing one more step because you have your successful commercial and music video production company. So you are not in a rush per se.
No, that's right. And exactly, I'm not in a rush. At the same time,
at the same time, you want the film finished last year.
Well, I know, right? I'm looking over my shoulder and it's like, what's going on here? Like let's go. I just like. My brother, he's amazing at just getting stuff done. Not to say that I'm not good at it as well, but he's just an inspiration. Stuff just happens, and I'm like, let's do that. So.
And you don't want to wait till the kids go off to university.
Pardon?
You don't want to wait until the kids go to university.
No, that's right.
Although that will buy you a lot more time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I recall from because I love your cameo in Acknowledgements, and I believe those are your kids with you.
They are. That's
right. So they strike me as they still got a good 5 to 8 years to go in schooling before you are an empty nester.
It's a 5 to 8 year window before they overtake me. So I better get this stuff done. Yeah.
But when they ditch you and leave the home, then all of a sudden it's like, well, that's 12 hours a week more for...
totally for screenwriting and other strange projects. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. It all sits together, right? Like your responsibilities, like you're a one person with different ambitions, but it all needs to kind of harmonize somehow.
Yeah, it's the curse of the Renaissance person. I'll use the
Right.
the it
Yeah.
is everyone I've known who has the jack of all trades
Yeah.
soul, where you
Yeah.
do want to try multiple things.
Yeah.
I must say, I have an older brother, and he is the most focused individual I know. From an early age, he wanted to be an automotive engineer, and he went to university to be an automotive engineer, and he's been an automotive engineer for 35 years, and he
Wow.
is happy.
Great.
And I cannot focus on anything, right? As much as I focus, but I mean, 2 film festivals, another movie night, podcast, TV series. I'm thinking about a streaming idea because there's so many good ideas in the world. Why do just one?
I know. Exactly. I'm exactly the same. And here's the thing, right? Like I think, like you said, like a Renaissance soul. If I were to only do one thing, I think I'd be so sad. Even if it was the one thing that I love. Because I'd look over there and it's like, oh, that thing was really cool as well. I want to do that a little bit too, and that's just how I ended up, how I am who I am, like I've just got lots of pies and things. And but most of the time that's all good, right? Like that's it's fun. And
you
as
are
long as
having
things
fun,
are
and you're being,
progressing,
and you're still you're fun and responsible, which is that's a very hard beam to walk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. I think, well, for me, it'd be hard to let certain, like, how can I put it? It'd make me really sad to let myself down in certain areas that are important. I think all areas needs to be, cared for to be a balanced and happy person. This is actually something I've sort of discovered as of recent, in a way. And the last thing, I've always looked after, your financial self and your friends and your social self and my family responsibilities, but I haven't been looking after myself very well, possibly, like my own creative needs, and I'm looking at that sad corner over there, and I'm like, if I don't take care of that, all of me is gonna not be good. I'm gonna be sad. So it's actually a reality that I need to make these films.
And I'm going to share for the listening audience that it was actually a wonderful synchronicity there, because it's Arvid turned over his shoulder to the metaphorical corner that was being ignored, and there is a guitar there.
It's true.
You're actually looking over at the beautiful acoustic guitar, and you're saying, if I ignored my creativity for too long, it would cause a lack of happiness.
That's right. And this is it sounds so simple when you put it like that, but it's actually something like I said, I've only kind of manifested that for myself as of recent. And it's really made a difference to my own mental health, I think, and it works. I used to be in a band, or I am in a band, actually. We just released a new album back in Sweden, which is great fun. The band is called Big Fish. Do a plug there, Big Fish, Sweden. Check it out. But I started to write some.
Wait, so is Big Fish?
Songs.
Are you able to? Do you have to fly back there to work with them, or are you able to do everything remotely and then you email a guitar track that you recorded?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, they booked a studio in Sweden for a week, and I booked my own garage with my family for a week. I said, I'm going to be in the garage for a week. And I sat in there and I recorded it all. And we had, chats like you and I are now in the mornings and the evenings because of the time difference. So while I slept, they recorded their stuff. And then we had a meeting. And then while they slept, I recorded my stuff on top and sent it to them. And it was great, so much fun. And it worked out really well. And then I've just come back from Sweden now. I've been there for a couple of months, and we did a bit of touring and some live gigs, which was great fun and well received. So it was great. Yeah,
that's wonderful. So, and did you get to bring your whole family with you? So you sort of did
they came over as well.
You did a Swedish rock tour.
It sounds,
by the way, funny, amusingly,
put it like that.
I'll just share, because we're clearly off the rails as far as talking about your films and stuff, but I have a soft spot. I have a soft spot for when I hear truly absurd Swedish death metal. I think death metal. I think in America we just think of England, maybe a little Australia, maybe people think of France, but I actually have always found Sweden. I've been able to visit twice. I think Sweden is one of those countries and cultures that people need to be more aware of.
Interesting. Yeah.
Especially because I was there. It's so fun. When I'm there, you realize how multicultural it is. It's actually a truly multicultural society.
Yeah, it's true. We've had a quite an open immigration policy and different sort of people been coming in different waves over the decades. So like from Pinochet in Chile, we have a lot of Chileans from the 70s and generations, Iranis and Iraqis and people from former Yugoslavia and so on. So it's a cool mix of people for sure.
People from all over Africa. The only time I ever met someone from Eritrea was in Stockholm.
Right. Great.
And America brags about being a melting pot.
It must be all the darkness, I think, when it comes to the metal. But yeah, Entombed, a great band, just so much fun.
Well, that's awesome. That's wonderful that you got to do this. That's kind of amazing that you have this band.
I know it is actually really and we got together when I was 14. So we've had this band for so many years, and actually the creative trust and the creative understanding between us in the band is possibly the backbone of how I relate to the world and how I create. But I've learned so much. I learned so much from being in this band back in the early days, and now as well, of course. And it's I guess I've found some funding principles of how I create in that band. Don't strive for perfection and let the random happen. Invite the random, and listen out for the mistakes. And don't be perfectionist and don't get stuck in technology.
And listen to your collaborators.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's because it sounds like your band is very collaborative.
Yes.
Over decades, whereas heck, I just watched a police documentary, and you saw that the real conflict was one guy from the beginning really would have rather been solo. Just wasn't about a band. Wasn't about listening to others' ideas.
Right. Exactly, and this is how I'd like to create on film set too, and this is why I said that I think I would learn so much about my writing from making the film, because the writing, of course, it's a very singular type energy, because it's you got to type the words down, and of course you can have writing partners and so on. But when it comes to actually making the film, there are so many influences and so many people around you that will push the outcome in different directions, and that's how I create. I love that process. I love to build the collaboration from bottom up rather than from top down. I want to hear your ideas and try it out. And I think I keep saying the same thing. I think I learned so much about the writing, because the writing is so singular and so meticulous and so precise. And I want to mess things up. I like it when those precise things are broken and other things seep in between, and that's the magic. I want to invite that.
Well, it sounds like with these philosophies, your work is just going to continue to be very compelling and interesting. Do you want to say the band's name again? Is there a band website?
No, there isn't a band website. The band is called Big Fish.
Oh, yeah.
And the Facebook page is Big Fish and then official, but in Swedish, officiella. So yeah, Big Fish official. We're from Uppsala, UPP. I can't spell Uppsala. Yeah, Uppsala.
Uppsala.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll find it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should? I wish you extremely well, whether you make a short before the feature or jump straight into the feature. Either way, it sounds like it's not lost on me that as polished and impressive and cinematic as Acknowledgements is, part of you also has that Jim Jarmusch soul, and you love Down by Law. So if you make your version of Down by Law, which is you and a couple friends and dirty and gritty, but creating a world and creating a story together.
Yeah, that feels really good. Let's do that.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
And then after that, you'll make
that's right,
big budget magnum opus.
Then we're rolling. Exactly. So yeah, that's that. You just got a producer that I spoke to many years ago, Anna Kroneman in Stockholm. She said something really clever. She said, like, you just need to make your first feature. That's all you need to worry about. Don't be too strategic. Don't be too anything. Just get your first feature made. And I think that's so true. And I guess that's a parting comment to people watching this, because I guess most people watching this are filmmakers or creatives, and don't give up, people. Keep it's tough. It's tough, but and you lose yourself. But it's a a big ingredient in filmmaking is just patience or tenacity. Just keep at it. Don't give up. Keep at it.
Absolutely.
Get through the dark days, hold on to the bright days, and keep going.
Absolutely. No, it's and you are definitely an example. I always said when I was younger that if you can quit, do it. If you can find it in yourself to quit this medium, to quit writing or filmmaking, if you say to yourself, I could be a high school teacher and be happy, do it, because it's people like yourselves who really can't stop. That's who should be doing it.
That's right. And be happy. High school teacher and being happy is the key there, because you might think that you can quit, and then you quit, and then you become a high school teacher. But if you're not happy, then you got to go back, and it's okay to go back, and it's it's okay. It's it's all right.
Absolutely. Well, anything else you want to mention before we wrap up our first podcast? I say first, for those who don't know, right after we wrap this one up, Arvid's going to answer those 4 questions about favorite films and whatnot. That'll be the podcast.
Exciting stuff to talk about there. I'm looking forward to that. No, all I want to say is thank you to you. It's been so cool to talk to you about my short film and talk to you today about the bigger plans, and hats off to you and Sherman Oaks and Film Invasion. It's a cool couple of festivals, and I'm chuffed to be part of it. It's great.
Thank you. Of course, there are no festivals without the filmmakers. And what am I supposed to say? I'm supposed to say I had something I was supposed to say, but okay, I'll just do my wrap up. You mentioned, so first we'll mention the. Wow, your compliment really got me. So anyhow, all right. So first we'll talk about the TV series, because Acknowledgements is in it. So again, if you want to be kind, go to Prime Video. Amazon controls what markets we're in. So those for you not in the USA or UK, just use a VPN or something and make the computer think you are. But If you go to Amazon and go to Amazon Prime Video, hopefully on a large TV, of course, Acknowledgements is a beautiful film. You don't want to see it on a phone. You got it. Yeah, it's so cinematic. You want it on a big. Go buy a big TV before you watch it. But so go to Prime Video, search for Discover Indie Film, and please enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, please give it a 5-star review. 5-star reviews are always nice. You know, we live in a world, there's actually no bad reviews of the series, but I do live in fear of that person who it wasn't meant for. And all of a sudden, you have an angry person writing a screed and 1,000 people who enjoyed it didn't bother.
True.
We live in a very funny world where
5
it's
stars.
only when you're triggered, only when the negativity is triggered do we review things. So I ask for the reviews. Also this podcast, like, subscribe, review, be nice, be kind, be a person who takes time to review. I have tried to change myself because I've now become I joke that I'm a grade grubber. I'm always asking the teacher to turn my A- into an A, but now that I ask everyone to review things, I am reviewing more things. I am honestly doing it. So I'm asking everyone else to do it. Like and subscribe to the podcast. Acknowledgements did win that best short film experimental art house at Film Invasion Los Angeles. We hold that every June here in LA. So you can learn about it at filminvasionla.com, and it's at Film Invasion LA on social media. I didn't mention that the podcast and TV series, the website is discoverindiefilm.com, and the social media is at DIFwins. That's because all the filmmakers who were involved in like the first 20, 30 episodes, I had to come up with I had to change social media handle, and we held a vote, and DIF Wins was the winner. It was kind of cute. And Arvid was kind enough to mention the Sherman Oaks Film Festival. Yeah, Sherman, that's every November. In fact, I'm about to be buried in films to watch for that. In fact, I am already buried, but I've been making my way through them. So that's ShermanOaksFF.com, and it's at ShermanOaksFF on social media. And I think that's all the things I'm supposed to mention. Google or search for Big Fish Official Sweden. And of course, watch Acknowledgements. And anything else we should mention, or we're good?
No, I think that's good. Go well out there. Keep finding your voice. You know, keep writing.
Everyone keep creating.
The world wants to hear your story.
It does. The world needs stories. I think that's something that we were discussing even before the podcast, was that our species evolved into what it did because we sat around a campfire together, sharing our stories of the day, looking at each other's faces. And
that's it.
And that's actually why we binge TV shows on Netflix now.
That's right. Exactly.
Because we need to look at another human face and understand what's going on with them. All right. Arvid, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for listening.